How are you?
Hi Anup, hi Sharda, hi Rita.
Hi.
Anjali
Hi.
here.
How are you?
Hi Anjali.
Hi guys.
Good to see so many batchmates.
Right.
Nice to see everyone.
मैं आरपी तिवारी बोल रहा हूँ मैडम सुन रही हैं हेलो
हेलो
मैं आरपी तिवारी हूँ छत्तीसगढ़ से बोल रहा हूँ आवाज आ रही है मेरी
आवाज आ रही है। आप कहाँ से बोल रहे हैं?
छत्तीसगढ़ से बोल रहा हूँ सदस्य सचिव छत्तीसगढ़ पैनल डिपार्टमेंट से आरपी तिवारी
अच्छा, ओके ओके, थैंक यू फॉर ज्वाइनिंग।
थैंक यू सर गुड लक
Sir, Satyendra this side, sir.
वेलकम सत्येंद्र।
Sir, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, we cannot have the event without you.
No, sir. It's my honor, sir.
Good evening, sir. Amitav here, sir. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening, Nidhi.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Srivastava sir, Amitav ji, Ambasta ji, Oma ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Chandra ji and Sharad ji.
We're going to start in another minute or so. Hope everyone is doing well today evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome. Just a few announcements before we begin. Please keep yourselves on mute while someone is speaking. And you can keep your video on or off. That's up to you. But please try to keep the microphones off at all times. The chat box is there for any questions that you may have. We are going to have a question answer session towards the end of the webinar. Before that, we have a panel of very distinguished speakers. So we're going to give them sufficient time to speak, and then we will move on to the question answers. But as questions keep coming to your mind, please use the chat box to put them so that later on it will be easy for us to take those questions. Okay, happy World Environment Day, everyone. This year's theme is the ecosystem restoration, and how this is tying up with our campaign. I think it doesn't take much imagination to imagine how badly plastic pollution has affected nearly every habitat that is there, because that's the theme of this year's World Environment Day. We are especially focusing on oceans and coastal habitats this year. And this is going to be the theme of our webinar as well. Development and promotion of alternatives to single-use plastic is one of the necessary, though not sufficient, preconditions for effectively phasing out single-use plastics. We are aware how badly the environment has been damaged by the indiscriminate use of single-use plastics. And how this affects the oceans and the coast is that a lot of lives are lost. I'm sure all of you have seen videos and pictures of all the damage that has been done, especially in the last 1 year, but also over the last many decades since plastic has really been abundant in our environment. If we continue to dump plastic waste in the oceans at the current rate, by 2050, there will be more plastics than fish in the oceans. We need to reverse this pollution in order to restore our oceans and coasts. 10 years is the period that has been sort of given to us for reversing this damage that has already been done, but also coming up with these alternatives and putting them into effective use. We have a lot of bans, we have financial incentives from the government, but we also need entrepreneurs. We need people like us, inventors, scientists, to come up with alternatives and actually put them to use. Of course, we need citizens like ourselves to be using them, but also none of these methods are going to be effective in any way if there are no entrepreneurs that are coming up with these alternatives. So this webinar has been envisioned to have this dialogue between the government and the industry to develop and promote eco-friendly alternatives that can replace single-use plastics easily and cost-effectively. We will also discuss what further steps are needed in this endeavor. The objective is to drastically reduce the plastic footprint in our daily lives so as to prevent this pollution in the first place. This will also result in less generation of plastic waste, which can be better managed through reuse and recycling. We will begin with the webinar. Begin this webinar with a video message from Mr. Erik Solheim, who's a well-known global leader on environment and development, as well as an experienced peace negotiator. He served as the Norwegian Minister of Environment and Development from 2005 and 2012. He has also been the chair of OECD Development Assistance Committee, as well as Executive Director of UN Environment. Currently, he's the Senior Advisor at World Rescue Institute and convener of the Global Coalition for Green Belt and Road, and serves as the CEO of Plastic Revolution Foundation. He is also an advisor to a Singapore-based April/RGE and the co-chair of Trillion, a Singapore green blockchain company. He is also the patron of our foundation. I'm going to share my screen and you can see what message he has for us.
I'm really pleased that Foundation for Campaign Against Plastic Pollution has decided to use World Environment Day to focus on what we need to do to solve this enormous problem for planet Earth. Plastic waste is killing animals. A few weeks back, a whale was dying in Thailand, vomiting plastic bags in its last moments. Plastic pollution is also a huge economic problem. Tourist places like Bali or Goa, how many people will want to go there if they're choking from plastic in the water? And plastic, small fragments, microplastic, is more and more getting into our body, into our stomach. We are eating it, we are drinking it, we are breathing it, and it's not good for us. So time has come for humanity to change. We need to resolve this enormous problem of plastic pollution. And I believe there are three main answers. First, let's get rid of all the plastic products we do not need. We can drink straight from the cup, we can eat without plastic cutlery, we don't need straws, and we can celebrate big occasions without balloons. European Union has now prohibited all these non-necessary plastic products. The same is happening in many Indian states. Secondly, let's move to plastic products which are made from cassava or potato or sugarcane, naturally destroying in nature when the forces of nature is working on them. And thirdly, and most importantly, we need to move to a circular economy where we bring in the plastic we produce and recircle it into new plastic products or into oil which we can use for our engine. If we do these three things, avoid what we cannot, what we don't need, start using new materials, and start recycling, the plastic waste problem will be a thing of the past in the next 10 years. But we need to mobilize, and that's why I pay tribute to the campaign against plastic waste for using World Environment Day to raise this huge problem.
I hope you all enjoyed that message from Mr. Eric. I think he had a lot of wise words to say for us. I'm sorry the audio was maybe a little low. This whole webinar is being recorded and you can watch it later. It is also being live cast on Facebook. In case any friends or family are trying to join, you can let them know. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and we're looking forward to the next 1.5 hours. With this, I would like to ask Mr. Anup Kumar Srivastav, who probably needs no introduction, but I will introduce him as the founder of Foundation for Campaign Against Plastic Pollution, which is this non-profit organization that has been active for the last 3 years. We had in-person awareness campaigns before the pandemic hit, and since then we've been doing webinars and engaging with the stakeholders in a variety of different ways. So, Mr. Anup Kumar Srivastav, could you please give the welcome address?
Thank you very much, Nidhi. Distinguished panelists, members of the CAP and participants, very good afternoon. On my personal behalf, as well as on behalf of the CAP, I extend to you all a very warm welcome. I hope that you will enjoy and actively participate in the webinar on alternatives to single-use plastics being organized by the CAP. Nidhi mentioned about the oceans being one of the 8 ecosystems identified for restoration. In fact, oceans constitute the biggest ecosystem in terms of the size. As we know, 3/4 area of the earth is covered by the oceans. Therefore, the remaining 7 ecosystems are confined in 1/4 area of the earth. Eradication of plastic pollution from oceans is therefore one of the greatest environmental challenges. Let us hope that mankind will be able to do it in the next 10 years contemplated for it. More than a year ago, when I was addressing a gathering at Chittaranjan Park, Delhi, during an awareness campaign organized by CAP, a question was raised. What was the alternatives to single-use plastics? What do you have to offer? Someone asked. The question was specifically asked in the context of how to carry fish from market to home if you disallow plastic carry bags. My answer was, ask your grandmother, how did she carry fish in their time when there were no plastic bags, Unfortunately, single-use plastics have arrived during the last 40 to 50 years due to consumerism. They have become part of our daily lives and we have become habitual. Whether we like it or not, this is the stark reality and we have to face it. If we have to phase out single-use plastics, we have to promote their eco-friendly alternatives, which are fit for purpose and not more harmful. For example, I personally don't support paper bags as a substitute for plastic bags, because if we use paper bags indiscriminately, then we'll be cutting more trees and destroying our forests. So the alternative has to be less harmful than being more harmful than what plastic is causing. The alternatives to single-use plastics don't have to be necessarily single-use. We have to think out of box. The alternatives should preferably be reusable items. In fact, we should gradually move away from single-use culture to good olden days when we had durable, reusable items. For example, a safety razor for shaving used to be metallic, and only the blade was required to be replaced after its multiple use. Now we have a twin blade embedded on a plastic body, use and throw type. Why should it be? It has not raised any efficiency nor reduced the cost. It has evolved only as a result of consumerism. And imagine how difficult it will be to deal with its wastage. I think it cannot be recycled because you cannot separate the metal part from the plastic. So most probably it must be going in the dumps or in the landfills. Another example is of paper towels. Now we find paper towels being provided in toilets at airports, hotels, offices, etc. indiscriminately. It is indiscriminate use of paper. Too many trees will be required to be cut to produce that much paper. Why can't each one of us carry a handkerchief as we used to do it many years ago? And at best, we should provide usable cloth towels at these places. We should move rapidly from single-use throwaway culture to multiple-use culture if we have to stop environmental depredation. Essentially, when we talk about alternatives to single-use plastics, we should also examine what were we doing, what were we using 40 to 50 years ago when there were no single-use plastics. We have to use the policy of stick and carrot while attempting to combat plastic pollution. We cannot just use the stick all the time. Stick is the ban and carrot is the promotion of alternatives. UNEP in its report Single-Use Plastics, a roadmap for sustainability, released exactly 3 years ago, has also recommended promotion of alternatives as part of its 10-point strategy for combating plastic pollution. Promotion of alternatives should be promoted through the financial incentives like tax incentives. The eco-friendly alternatives to single-use plastic should be zero rated so far as GST is concerned. On the other hand, single-use plastic should be treated as sin goods and be taxed heavily like cigarettes. The startup producing alternatives to single-use plastic should be exempt for 10 years from paying income tax, provided the profits made, if any, during this period is plowed back for technology upgradation and for creating innovation fund. Government should come out with a scheme to have those units that are producing single-use plastics and will be out of business as a result of ban to switch over to alternatives to single-use plastics. MLP is one of the toughest challenges for replacement. About a year ago, we had requested the Department of Science and Technology in the Government of India to promote research for developing alternatives to MLP, multi-layer packaging or multi-layer plastic as it is called, through its institutes of excellence. We don't know what is the present position. We request the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, whose representative is present today as one of the distinguished panelists, to ask Department of Science and Technology to take up this matter in all its seriousness. Industry should also set apart certain funds for research and innovation to replace multi-layer plastics, which is a source of major pollution. Exactly 3 years ago, Government of India had announced its commitment to phase out single-use plastics by 2022. Now only 1 and half year is remaining with not much progress in sight. This 1.5 years will also pass in a jiffy. We have to act fast. I have noticed that there is no full-time director in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change to deal with such an important issue. The director dealing with plastic pollution is dealing with so many other subjects. I feel that the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change should earmark one full-time director exclusively for this work for at least 2 years. If not possible through reallocation of work, an additional post of director should be created for this purpose. With these words, I extend hearty welcome to Mr. Satyendra Kumar, Director, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Ms. Divya Sinha, Scientist E and Divisional Head in the Central Pollution Control Board, Mr. Rajiv Kumar Dwivedi, Director, TTRC in Lohia Corp, and who are our distinguished panelists and who have spared their valuable time and made it convenient to participate in this webinar. I also welcome members of the CAP present today and all other participants to this webinar. I hope their inquisitiveness during the question answer session will make the webinar all the more interesting. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your warm words and for raising some very pertinent questions that hopefully we will be discussing throughout this webinar. It's my honor to introduce the next keynote speaker of this webinar, Mr. Satyendra Kumar. He has been working with the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change since 2017. Presently, he is looking after the policy issues relating to management of waste in environment-friendly and sustainable manner. He is involved with the issues related with single-use plastics, as well as tackling of plastic pollution. Apart from it, issues relating with solid waste management, battery waste management, and effective utilization of ash by thermal power plants are some of the other issues that he has to deal with. In the past, he has worked on air pollution management, formulation of NCAP, climate change, sustainable coastal management issues. Sir is also BTech in mechanical engineering from NIT Kurukshetra and MTech in energy studies from IIT Delhi and MA in public administration. Thank you so much for joining us. Sir, if you could please speak now. Sir, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share the views regarding such an important topic. Distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that the plastic pollution has emerged as a serious environmental threat in recent times, of course, and more so because it has its adverse impacts on both the terrestrial as well as marine ecosystems, primarily if it gets littered. And that is why, as rightly pointed out by Sir during his welcome remark, in 2018, India had committed to phase out single-use plastics by 2022. While discussing and presenting this matter before this August audience, Sir raised many pertinent issues. And I would try to capture as many issues as possible in my talk so that the right kind of perspective is built around this issue of single-use plastics as well as the tackling of the plastic pollution. We all know that in 2016, Government of India framed the plastic waste management rules. And that is the fundamental set of rules that deals with the plastic management in the country. I want to add to certain things about certain features about those rules to keep things in perspective regarding that it's not for the first time we have started all the dialogue all together to get rid of, to eliminate, to reduce single-use plastics. The Plastic Waste Management Rules 2016 itself banned certain single-use plastic items. It banned carry bags having thickness less than 50 microns. So a kind of initiation in the journey towards eliminating single-use plastic was already done in 2016. To add on to it, I'd like to, it's not that the first time in 2016, we all started this journey of being aware about single-use plastics. With the turn of the century, in 2004, Government of Nagaland was the first state to ban certain single-use plastic items. And as on date, as we stand in 2021, there are 33 states and UTs who have their own notifications banning carry bags and certain single-use plastic items over and above the items that are banned under the plastic waste management rules, 2016. When I share this fact, my whole idea is not, we can just find out what are the things banned and somebody may come up and say that these are mere ban on papers. Many people will agree that there may be implementation challenges. There may be issues how to go about enforcing those bans. I'll come up, I'll touch on that part also. The whole idea was just to make a point that this is a journey which as a country we had started earlier. As a humanity, not only as a citizen of this country, this is a journey which we all have to take forward to in order to protect our ecosystems, in order to protect the lives on the planet, and more so in order to give sustainability to this Mother Earth so that the future generations are there surviving in a manner that is for eternity without adversely impacting any of the natural courses and processes on this planet Earth. With this, I would like to just emphasize one more thing, that when we talk about single-use plastic items, I will definitely come to alternatives to SUPs. But what I have understood over these years while dealing with these environmental issues, and particularly the single-use plastics, that the first and foremost thing is that we need to create an awareness among everybody, be it citizens, be it industry, be it government, be it academia, be it anybody. And when we say awareness, many people may agree with me that this is already there. What new awareness we all are talking about, or I am talking about? So it's an awareness not for the mere listening or in fact hearing about this issue of single-use plastic. It is more so about understanding it, feeling it, knowing it. And this has to be done in a manner that it touches each and every conscious person. And from there, it will trickle down to everyone. So this is one of the foremost challenges which I have felt. As a citizen, even if when I go to the market and I have the option of carrying the cloth bag, which many a times, many people like me may miss out, but there we justify our own behavior. So the fundamental thing is that to create the drive from within, that now there is no time to, you can say, as a cushion for you to delay any action as an individual on this part. And And this is the thing which I would like to get imbibed in everyone, and more so based on literature and based on the practical experience, what I have gathered and studied. I've seen that in other countries also. When I was interacting with somebody in Singapore, I had a kind of training over there. And one Chinese couple was sitting over in a park at night, and I just wandered in the neighborhood and just was sitting, and there the plastic was littered. And then when I inquired, when I talked about it to the faculty, she said that its older generation has not got that thing embedded. So we need still have stricter enforcement laws, and we have effective collection mechanisms that is aiding us. But the point which I want to highlight is that it is right from the young age, which she shared with me and which I concur, and many of us may concur, that the seeds of such consciousness about such an important issue has to be sown right at the young age. And that's why our Honorable Prime Minister has also asked everyone to take this on a mission mode, and has said to create a mass movement around it, particularly engaging the younger generation, school students, college students, NCC, NSS cadres, and all those. So this I wanted to touch in order to bring out the dialogue that this is so deep and so intense, and it is to my understanding, it's very much seriously being addressed to also. I can just take this understanding without asking from sir that he was also on this side of the table a few years back, and definitely he can make out that the government always have the consciousness of taking up important issues. There are challenges which have to be addressed with all vision and all practicality and with pragmatic approach. Now coming to the single-use plastics, when I'd like to just mention about the notification that was issued in March this year that talks about banning identified single-use plastic items from for a set of items from January 2022 and for a set of items from July 2022. Now, I will deliberately try to bring in those items in the discussion here. From January 2022, earbuds with plastic sticks are going to be banned. Then there are plastic sticks for the balloons, plastic flags, and then ice cream sticks and candy sticks. These are the 5 items. Why I'm saying so? Now, the biggest manufacturer of the country, I had a discussion with him. There was an informal discussion, and he was saying that the earbuds with plastic sticks should be allowed or should be given. So that is another thing that could be looked at. And I am just trying to bring in a point which he himself shared with me, that these earbuds got the use impetus only because of consumerism, which in Srivastava sir already mentioned that we need to see that what is driving us to use a product as a consumer, whether there are alternatives to it or not. And now coming to the alternative parts to the earbuds with plastic sticks. Since 1963, Germany is using earbuds with paper sticks. Now there are real challenges, which I will not bring forth here. There are real challenges of adopting those technologies, those paper-based solutions, but there are solutions. Now then comes if there are solutions to, and to my understanding, I will not go through the list that would get banned, a few items, particularly the cutlery items that will get banned from the July 2022. I'll just want to highlight that all these items, to my understanding, have got good amount of alternatives. Challenges maybe with regard to technology, with regard to the cost, with regard to its availability, with regards to its penetration. But I'll try to make a point with a very practical example in this regard. Just, I'll come to that. Before that, I'll take up one important thing is when we say this single-use plastic items, and see, going for the alternatives. How we decided about it. There was a considerable discussion around this topic, that why which items should be taken up. And these are identified single-use plastic items, particularly focusing on those items which have high litter potential and low utility. So when we talk about banning of the single-use plastic items, I feel that the society itself will move forward and say that, no, I do not want these single-use plastic items, even if it is still available. Because banning is a decision that is based on many factors, based on the feasibility of the alternative available, based on the cost, based on the local availability of the technology. So all these factors will go in the ban on any particular SUP item. But the point is, who is stopping the consumer? Who is stopping the industry? Not by force, but by choice. The moment these choices will come forward, definitely we will see that there will be. So this is the first step, that we have to refuse it. If we see the alternatives, if we do not need it, we refuse it. Then we go for reducing it by way of using legal instruments, like imposition of such bans through such notifications, through many state governments. And then we talk about the third mechanism of the recycle. If at all it is needed, like the swaps of the that we're using has a plastic in it, that's a single-use plastic, that's need of the art. So if at all we are needing it, we need to go for a thorough recycling. And for that, I'd like to share that in 2020, the Ministry of Environment had shared the guidelines regarding draft guidelines regarding the EPR, which is going to be one of the most important instruments in this fight of the plastic pollution, in this elimination of single-use plastics, as well as the alternatives to single-use plastic. Why I'm saying so? Because the moment we have an effective and efficient system of EPR in place, in one line, I'll say that this system is there to impose a responsibility on the producers, that whatever packaging material you are putting in market, you have to take it back. And the moment we are able to achieve it in letter and spirit with right systems, right from the proper reporting by the producer, right to the proper reporting by the recyclers, so we will see a lot of impetus in this. And here comes when we will have thorough recycling. So these recycled plastics itself, when it gets used up, it's a circular economy. And it is one of the alternatives in a limited sense, till the time we have very cost-effective alternatives. The moment we go for more and more recycling, this is going to help us out in that. And to add on to it, I would like to share that the country has moved forward in enhancing its recycling capacity to 10.5 metric ton per it's like 10.5 lakh ton per annum recycling capacity. So huge increase in the recent year in 2020. To add on to it, I'll come back to that point. Alternatives, this thing started well in 2016, and we have got biodegradable or compostable alternatives as on date 2,80,000 ton per annum, which in 2016 was 0. So we are moving ahead. There are challenges, there are issues, the cost issues, the technology issues. But my point is, the drive has to come from the consumers. The drive has to come from the industry. I'll share my personal example. I just opened up one of the medicine boxes, and it has got a few tablets inside it. And 90% of it was empty. Now here it's like designing for environment. Here the industry players have to come and say that, no, this will require only 10% of space to pack for the package. So there's multiple approaches which needs to be thought about. Challenges have to be seen in perspective. I think I have overshoot the time. I don't know. Nidhi ji would like to just, have I overshoot the time? I'll close immediately.
Yes, sir. You can wrap up and then we can move
I
on.
am
Thank
closing
you so
it.
much.
So I will just say, I'll just say that these words, that that the collective efforts of everyone, citizens in government, civil society, and like-minded people from this country, from across the globe, we are definitely going to have this problem addressed. This is such a problem. I will not say one of the problems I see that where there's that the solution is very difficult. This is not such a problem. I always say in my conversations within closed groups, this is not such a problem. There is one issue. I'll not highlight that thing because I am not an expert on that topic, but I have built a view around that. And having said that, I'll urge all of you, because in order to build the right narrative around alternatives to single-use plastic and create awareness, the ministry is launching a 2-month campaign, awareness campaign on SUPs on 8th of June through our Honorable Minister. I'll be sharing my link with Anup sir, and would like to request to spread it to everyone so that a lot many people get associated. And the whole purpose of it to feel this issue from within. Once you feel it, problem is addressed. That's my thing. Systems will fall in place. There is enough technology, there are enough capability within our country, across the globe. So it's like the feel and the drive coming and the nudge from the government. That's all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hope.
Thank you so much for your time and your words, sir. You put forward some very illuminating and informative points. I'm very excited to introduce our next panelist, Ms. Divya Sinha, who is Scientist E and Divisional Head of Central Pollution Control Board. She has been working with Central Pollution Control Board for 15 years and is currently heading the UPC 2 division, which is dealing with solid and plastic waste management. Major focus areas of her work include phasing out of single-use plastics, strengthening implementation of extended producers' responsibility, promotion of alternatives to petro-based plastic, besides dealing with regulatory and judicial matters. Areas of interest is evaluation and promotion of new technologies for plastic waste management. She has previously worked with National Productivity Council for over 10 years, providing consultancy services in the field of industrial pollution prevention and control. She's also a graduate civil engineer from IIT Roorkee and postgraduate in environmental engineering from IIT Mumbai. Ma'am, thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, all of you. This is one very important discussion, and I would really thank Mr. Dr. Anup Srivastava and Dr. Satyendra Kumar for their kind words on this single-use plastic. And we are basically, just to channelize this discussion where we stand with respect to single-use plastic, what are our issues, I have made a small presentation I would just like to share with all of you. So that I think it'll just be a very short presentation, and we can channelize the discussion where we stand and where we need to move from here. So I'm just sharing the presentation on the screen. Is it all right? Do I need the sharing rights for the? Yeah.
I think you should be able to share.
Yeah, can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Right now, we have, as some of the points have already been discussed and highlighted by Dr. Satyendra, we have basically right now our plastic waste generation in the country is around 34.3 lakhs TP tons per annum. And we are out of which 94 is recyclable, 94% is recyclable, and non-recyclable is 6%. We currently have a recycling capacity of 40% and a co-processing capacity of 5% of the total waste generated. So we are basically currently faced with a gap of around 40 to 50%, which needs to be addressed. And part of it is the single-use plastic, which is not, which is getting generated, not getting collected, and we are finding it difficult to manage. And basically how we are going to first, when we address the problem, we need to have a very specific definition for single-use plastic, and Ministry MOEF and CC had just recently, few months back, they have come up with the draft notification in which the single-use plastics have been defined. So I'm not going to, these are some of these issues. These are the plastics which are basically the items which are used once and disposed of. So these specific items, the definitions have been covered in the draft notification, which MOF and CC has come out a few months back. And as all of us know, that Honorable Prime Minister of India in 2018 had committed for phasing out of the single-use plastics by 2022. And we are moving in that direction, taking various steps, and which I will just enumerate a few which we are through, we are on the way, and we are, what do we plan ahead on that. So first thing is regarding the plastic waste management rules. It already bans the plastic, the existing 2016 rule bans the plastic bags and sheets which are less than 50 micron thickness. But in 25 states and UTs in the country, there's already a complete ban in irrespective of thickness. They have complete ban on the carry bags manufactured in their states. Now, implementation issue remains an issue, but the ban has been notified in 25 states. I've just listed all the states which includes Andaman Nicobar, Assam, Bihar, Chandigarh, Chhattisgarh, Daman and Diu, Nagar Haveli, Goa, Haryana, Himachal, Jharkhand, Karnataka, Lakshadweep, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Manipur, Punjab, Puducherry, Rajasthan, Sikkim, Tamil Nadu, Tripura, Uttarakhand, and Uttar Pradesh. So these are the states which have complete ban, have notified complete ban on the carry bags and the irrespective of the thickness. Other states, remaining states have partial bans. Some of them they are basically restricting it in some areas, and some of them are restricting only the thickness of the bags. Now, single-use plastics, which are some of the identified single-use plastics, are the carry bags, the non-woven carry bags, the small wrapping packaging films, the straws, stirrers, the cutlery items, the earbud and plastics, the expanded polystyrene, the small plastic bottles for beverages, and the roadside banners. So these are some of the single-use plastics which have been identified as the problematic SUPs. Single-use. Basically, the people are using it, and it is difficult to collect. Apart from being a single-use, it's difficult to collect and channelize these plastics for recycling. So these are the ones which are more problematic amongst the other, say, SUP items. So these are some of the identified SUP items, and now we have some conventional alternatives to SUP, which we have already discussed, and which is in common knowledge. These are the steel, glass, wood, cloth, ceramics, cardboard, and paper. And all these alternatives, they come up with some plus points and some minus points depending upon their, what is their benefits. They have to be customized to be used in the different areas which we have with different SUP items which we have identified. But these are, and some of them, we may not be, some of the items we may not be able to find an alternative also with these conventional alternatives. So major alternatives which has emerged, which is available, and the confirmed alternatives which has emerged for the single-use plastic is the compostable plastic bags, compostable plastics. It disintegrates into small particles. It biodegrades into biomass, carbon dioxide, and the H2O. And the benefit is that the resultant material with the resulted biomass is not toxic, and it is basically a compost which are getting at the end of the degradation of the compostable plastics. So this is the common raw material which is used for the compostable plastics include PLA, PHA, and the polybutadiene. Like as sir has already discussed, that in the last 5 years, we have seen an exponential rise in the manufacture of compostable plastics. And we have basically initiatives which have already been taken. There are some initiatives in the existing PWM rules which promote the compostable plastics. They are basically defined, clearly defined in the PWM rules. And also the compostable plastic manufacturers are required to be certified by this. Plastic carry bag manufacturers are required to be certified by Central Pollution Control Board. And also these bags are exempted from the 50 micron thickness restrictions. Like right now, the rules provide for 50 micron thickness, but if we are going, our preference is to go for a thinner bag, then we have this option of going for the compostable plastic bags. And basically, being thinner is an advantage for them because then they degrade faster. So, so it is preferable to go for the compostable, thinner bags in the compostable, and also the raw material consumption is less, so the cost also comes down when you're going for the thinner plastic bags. Now, the amendment rules which have been issued by Ministry in 2021, they further promote the compostable carry bag, compostable plastics. There are two major provisions in the draft notification which promotes the compostable plastics. First is initially it was only the carry bags which are getting covered, but now it is all compostable commodities which will be covered in the compostable category, and they need to be certified by Central Pollution Control Board. So that's going to give a fillip to the usage of compostable plastics in the different categories of single-use plastic, which has already been discussed. Also, compostable commodities, the enlisted SUP items which are proposed to be banned or restricted in the draft notification, the compostable commodities made out, if those items are made from the compostable commodities, they are exempted from the ban. So these are two major initiatives which have been taken in the proposed notification by the MOAFNCC in March 2021. Now, CPCB has taken on its own initiatives for the promotion of compostable plastics. CPCB issued the standard operating procedure for certification of these manufacturers in 2020. And initially, these manufacturers were required to get take renewal after 3 years. So that renewal has been done away with. So it is one-time certified certification from CPCB. Like once the certificate is issued, CPCB has issued the directions to the central board and the state board for post monitoring. Like basically, it is basically just to so that to facilitate their facilitate their manufacture, that they don't have to come back to CPCB, go back for testing and all those things. So those requirements have been done away with to facilitate the compostable plastics. And we also are basically we are almost all ready to launch the portal for the certification of these plastics. So once we have more the commodities coming up for the compostable plastics, and the procedure for the certification being streamlined, I think we will be able to address this issue to a great extent. And as sir has already said, right now we have, within this period in which we have just updated the recent data, we have around 150 manufacturers, compostable plastic manufacturers, with a production capacity of around 3 lakh tons now. So if we take the plastic waste generation capacity in the country to be around 35 lakhs, so roughly 10% is getting addressed. So we would like to see this percentage going up fast in the coming years, so that the faster it takes up, the faster we have this we have the problem of this non-biodegradable petro-based plastics getting phased out. So this is one area where we have taken up initiatives. And apart from that, where all right now it is only the bags which are being certified. Now, where the compostable plastics can also be used for laminated cups and plates, manufacturing of carry bags, the retail bags. We have the cling wraps. Also the wrapping. We have the wrappings around these cigarette boxes, and these we have the small wrappages on the invitation cards and all. So these are the places where they are, and the problem is really huge. If we look at the plastic waste management problem, we have around lakhs of 1 ton of plastic means lakhs of pouches, and we have around 35 lakh tons of plastic getting introduced. So we can imagine the rate at which the plastic is getting introduced into the environment. So once we start substituting it level by level, step by step, these small plastic items, which are the problematic items, I think we will be able to address these issues to an extent. And even the cutlery items, the disposable plates and the cups and all, they can be they can be manufactured out of these compostable plastics. So this provides a very firm base for replacement of the petro-based plastic bag to an extent possible. Obviously, the actual assessment of the situation to see if its adaptability to the various conditions. So these are basically the applications of the compostable plastics. And now we have some emerging alternatives for single-use plastics. Compostable is basically available. Now we have some of the, because we keep in touch with the various innovations which are coming up. So these are under consideration. We are under assessment, and we will be trying to, we are trying to work on these. We are basically working on these 2 or 3 alternatives which are already which are coming up. One is the plastic-free based barrier-coated paper. Some of the manufacturers, this is basically a paper coated with a specific chemical, and that chemical makes the paper plastic waterproof. So we can use that paper, paper carton for cutting it, and it can be make various articles out of it, and it includes cups, plates, bags, straws, and even the straws and those buds. And also this is a very major thing which we would like to see how it shapes up in the coming times, to see how it will replace these items. And then we have the enzyme-based plastics. The testing of the same is under process. So we will once the results are through, we will be able to confirm what is the situation with respect to enzyme-based plastics regarding for their biodegradability. Also the cellophane papers. This is some old cellophane papers which were used earlier, and even our sellotapes and all, they were present earlier, made of these papers. But now owing to the cost, they have been phased out, and now we have everywhere we have the BOPP films. So we need to, some of the places we need to revert to these items where so that they are environment friendly. Cellophane papers, they are all biodegradable, and they can substitute many of the small wrappings and packaging requirements which we have right now. So these are some of the emerging alternatives, and we have. So if you look at the roadmap for phasing out of single-use plastics, basically we need to improve our waste management systems. We need to strengthen the regulatory framework, and we have to promote the eco-friendly alternatives, such as we have already discussed, and also the economic instruments. Like this is also, I think we are trying to work on this also to reduce the taxes on this. Public pressure. So these are the few areas we need to focus on when we are looking at phasing out of single-use plastics. Thank you. That's a small presentation from my side, and I think we can, work on discuss further on the topic. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your time and for your presentation, which clarified the issue so well in our minds, and also all the efforts that are being made already in this direction. I would like to introduce our next panelist, Mr. Rajiv Kumar Dwivedi. Just give me. I think maybe we can.
I'm just trying to unshare. I'm just trying to close my presentation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. So Mr. Rajiv Kumar Dwivedi is the Director, TTRC of Lohia Corp. He's an engineering graduate from NIT Bhopal 1988 with 32 years of experience, including 22 years at Government Institution of Repute, CIPET, in the field of plastic engineering and technology. He has been awarded with UNIDO Fellowship in 1997 for advanced training in the field of plastics processing in Canada, coordinated governmental studies on biodegradability, plastic recycling, CPCB study for assessment of plastic waste in 60 cities during 2007 and 2010. He has delivered lectures on plastic and waste recycling at different forums, including a special invited lecture at University of Toronto in 2009. He has been actively participating in ISO Technical Committee on Environmental Issues for standardization activities, specifically on plastic and environment issues. Recently, he has been nominated by BIS as project leader for developing new ISO standard for plastic waste recycling. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Nidhi. Thank you. Respected Shri Srivastava ji, distinguished panelists, Shri Satyen Kumar ji, Ms. Divya Sinha ji, and all distinguished participants of this today's webinar. I am thankful to Shri Srivastava ji and CAP for inviting me and to share my views on this one of the most, you can say, important topic of current era, the single-use plastics. And as regards this Government of India's policy and Ministry of Environment perspective or CPCB, I think Shri Satyen Kumar ji and Ms. Divya Sinha has very elaborately they have covered. Currently, I'm not in government role because I'm working for a private organization. But during my tenure at Government Institute, we have done a lot of work on plastic waste assessment, rather the CPCB, whatever the quantification assessment study. So that time I have coordinated from CPET side. And that time we have visited even landfill site, dump site to really quantify that how much plastic waste is there, how much is recyclable and how much is not recyclable. And that another in 2008 study we have done on biodegradability. So I will not touch about all those things, but as respected Srivastava ji has started this webinar, giving a background related to UNEP. So I would be mostly talking about, because Indian scenario, I think most of my co-panelists have already talked in length about plastic waste management rule and all other things. But what other things are, what at a global level things are happening, particularly in ISO level or global level. And even a recent report on UNEP that has been updated in 2021. So I would be just giving a brief about those UN report, and even recently that UN one document was released by 3 organizations. That is, one is WWF and Boston Consulting Group and Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And they have, they have pressurized UNEP. Now the time has come that there should be a global action with dates for all these issues, particularly like marine pollution. That also in the starting, Srivastava ji was mentioning about that. That is one of the major problem. So I just give little bit the summary and whatever is happening on global level, because I think India level already my both co-panelists, they have talked. And I personally feel that India, a lot of documentation is available. And since I have worked earlier in government also, I have seen that even when we talk in ISO forum and global forum, they always talk about Indian rule. They say the plastic waste management rule, plastic ban in different states. So our really, if you talk about the guidelines and documentation wise, Government of India has done very good work in recent year. Even the Department of Chemical Petrochemical, under which my previous organization was there, they have recently, I don't know, they have not talked about that, but recently Department of Chemical Petrochemical also has published a report on single-use plastic. The document is available on their website. There also they have compiled all information. But so information side, there is no, we can say that we are very much having all kind of information. Only implementation level, I think little bit that Srivastava Sahab was also telling in initially, that sometimes that rules, regulation and everything is framed and everything is done in a very nice manner. But sometime in considering the vast geography, demographic of our country, sometime implementation takes time, and maybe that in today's World Environment Day, and we wish that or whatever that policy and whatever mechanisms are being formed by government, that should be really, it can be implemented on the ground also. So with that a little bit background, I just talk about that why all this started. Why first thing is that one thing everybody knows, and starting I was hearing Nidhi also talked about that if the plastic goes to the ocean, then by 2050 there will be more plastic than fish. That is a very strong statement everywhere. Started in early in 2015. And 2015 only this Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which is one of the NGO, everybody knows that they are working on a plastic commitment and this global commitment for reducing single-use plastic and even talking about circular economy. So all this started based on, I think, UN. There are 17 sustainable development goals which are included and designed to be a blueprint to achieve better and sustainable future by 2030. And I think UN resolution of 2030 agenda, that is called 2030 agenda, they have coined it that there should be this, why this sustainable development goal is important, and particularly that sustainable development goal 12, which talks about responsible consumption, responsible production and consumption. That's how that SDG 12 is related to this topic also, related to our waste management, plastic production, reducing, reusing. So they talk about that 5 P's. 1 P is for people, 2nd P is for planet, 3rd P is for prosperity, 4th P is for peace and partnership. These 5 P's are the central theme of this sustainable development goal. And one of the important, as I told, the SDG 12, and aligning with the sustainable development goal, I just want to inform one thing, that ISO technical committee, there was a ISO technical committee which deals with the plastic related issue. Earlier, they were not having environmental any subcommittee, but they realized, and then based on aligning with this all UN pressure and everything, ISO decided that they should have one environmental subcommittee. So there is a exclusive environmental subcommittee under ISO technical committee that is called SC14, subcommittee 14. And they have decided 4 important subjects. One is related to plastic recycling, definitely. One is related to biodegradability. Now I will come to that also a little bit. I will try to clarify, because sometimes biodegradability people, they take just in a generalized sense. But biodegradability, how the plastic can be certified as biodegradable, there are a lot of protocol and testing standards are there. So I will talk about that also. And then there is a microplastic. That is one of the most challenging issue globally people are talking about. That microplastic is the thing which is which goes into the sea and ocean. And there only when we talk about the 10 rivers in, there was one document, I don't remember, but there they have that from India, Ganga and Brahmaputra, and Indonesia, one river is there. They told that they are the most polluting river. And because of that, from river, this all plastic goes to the sea or ocean. So one is microplastic, and then terminology. Why I'm talking about terminology? Because sometimes what happens when we talk about legal term, so legally they say that what is the definition of single-use plastic? So even in India, Ministry of Environment, definitely CPCB and rather our Government of India, DCPC, they've all defined single-use plastic. But I'm just telling that recently, this pressure was there on ISO technical committee also that to define single-use plastic. So I'm just reading that this is still in the draft stage, but they have defined what is single-use plastic. So they say that product that is made wholly or partly from plastic and that is not conceived, designed or placed on the market to accomplish within its lifespan multiple trips or rotation by being returned to a producer for refill or reuse for the same purpose for which it was conceived. This is the definition which ISO technical committee has drafted. And this is still, it has not been finalized. It is because ISO, anything is, it's circulated across country, then there is a ballot system, and when it's approved, then this will be published. Why they've started? Because in India, it's okay. We say that whatever ministry, CPCB, Ministry of Environment, DCPC, whichever are the nodal ministry, they decide. But in sometime in European Union, and when you talk about other developed country, this become a legal issue. They started telling, no, single-use plastic is not a technical term. There was a meeting which I was attending that every expert, they started telling that, no, this is a political term. So first there should be all technology scientists, they should decide that what should be the definition of single-use plastic. That's how this ISO technical committee has concluded that not only this, now for EPR also, what is extended producer responsibility, EPR? That also has been defined. They say that what is EPR? EPR is a set of measures taken to ensure that producers of products bear financial responsibility or financial and organizational responsibility for the management of the waste stage of a product's life cycle, for example, deposit system. So now this ISO technical committee is defining this so that in any kind of legal challenges and all, it can be termed, because this once ISO means it has to be accepted across the globe whenever ISO finalize any kind of term. So this is related to terminology. And as I was talking about that, there is a urge by 3 organizations. They have now told, they say that there is a need for there should be a global agreement to eliminate plastic leakage into the ocean by specific date. This is the October 2020 document, which is by WWF, Ellen MacArthur, and Boston Consulting Group. They have given this document to UNEP, and they say there are 4 they have urged that these are the 4 things they have to take care. First is definition, second is policy, third is reporting, and fourth is implementation support by UN. Because again, that all for implementing this, sometimes fund resources, everything is needed. So this was the document which WWF has released. And now I will just come to this. Is the, I think time should be there, but I will try to read this in a little bit in a faster way so that I am within time. This is the recommendation that based on this, UNEP, they have now 2021. This is not 2018 document. Now I'm talking about, this is the latest document what UNEP has released. They say what is the this is related to single-use plastic. So some of the highlight, I am just reading the highlighted points on that. So they say that first is you promote reusable product. I think my other co-panelists also, they told reusable product. The first thing is that we have to produce reusable product, and reusable product should have lower environmental impact than single-use product. The first recommendation what UNEP says. Second is that now one thing nobody has talked about, life cycle analysis. Now, I think very rightly, respected Srivastava sir was telling initially, that is there in UNEP resolution or UNEP document also, that it is not simply that say you throw plastic cup and use paper cup. They say single use any kind of product, whether it has to be assessed based on the life cycle analysis. It is not like that, okay, we are now just, because single use plastic has coined for last so many years to be banned. That means immediate alternative could be a paper cup. So again, that UNEP now, they are telling that it has to be assessed on based on the life cycle analysis. So that is also one thing is there. So one is use LCA and range of robust information sources. They say LCA has to be done, and know your context. Context means geography. Sometimes what happens, like we in India, our scenario would be different than European scenario or developed country scenario. So they say that before taking any kind of policy decision, there should be a geographical context also should be known by the policy maker. Then they say production is significant contributor. So that means again, you consider opportunity to avoid reduce negative environmental impact. Then another is end of life scenario. We should have a sustainable, substantial influence on environmental impact result. And one very important thing is that they say that product design should be the concept of circular, because I think everybody would be heard so much about circular economy, that we have to move away from linear economy to circular economy. And now ISO committee also, they never term now the term plastic waste. They say that any kind of plastic should not be intentionally or unintentionally leaked into the environment. The leakage word is being used now. It should not be leaked, whether it should not be leaked to the water, it should be. So they say that promote product design for circularity, including reuse. Then they say recognize trade-off, then reduce the single-use product, whatever the material. This is one important thing, which is, though it is in the plastic document, but now UNEP says reduce the use of single-use product, whatever is the material. Means they say that replacing one disposable product, like made of plastic, with another disposable product made of a different material, whether it is a paper or biodegradable plastic, is only likely to transfer the burden and create other problems. So that also need to be understood, that what is the environmental burden if we are replacing that by some another alternative material. So these are the key recommendation in the latest document of UNEP. Now, finally, I will come to the last part, that is related to this the term biodegradable, because sometimes whenever we talk about plastics, people, they immediately jump that why not it should be biodegradable. But biodegradability, again, there is some definite testing protocol, standard time frame. If suppose something we just throw in the air and we say after 2 years it will get biodegradable, or 3 years, we cannot say that it is biodegradable. So that is why that ISO has got some testing protocol under the biodegradability committee. For compostability, they say 17088 is there. For biodegradability also there is a standard. So what is the definition? There are 3 different terms which are being circulated. One, they say, sometimes people say bio-based. So this is bio-based, that doesn't mean if somebody is telling bio-based means it will be a material which will biodegrade. Sometimes bio-based means it is instead of petro-based, like polyethylene, one material is there. Instead of petro-based, it can be converted to polymerized by a sugarcane root also. Like Brazil, one company is there. They use sugarcane root as and they say it is a green polyethylene. But that is not biodegradable. Only thing is that instead of petro feedstock, it has been polymerized by taking a agriculture route, that sugarcane molasses, and then ethanol is converted into polyethylene. So those plastics are known as bio-based. Then comes biodegradable. Biodegradable means capable of degrading under biological process of organic matter. Then third one is compostable, which just now that our my co-panelist has talked about. Compostable means capable of biodegrading under specified condition and time scale, usually one encountered in an industrial or municipal composting. So that means that also that condition is required for any material to get biodegradable. Either compostability or any kind of aerobic or anaerobic atmosphere is needed for this term. So these are some of the then life cycle assessment and all other definition also has been given in the UNEP document, which I don't want to elaborate further. So I think that this was for me, because already the government position or ministry perspective already has been talked about, and I think this I thought that I should talk about that global perspective, whatever based on UNEP and WWF. So with this, I conclude, and I once again thank respected Srivastava and Nidhi and all distinguished members of CAP who have invited me for joining for this webinar. Happy Environment Day to all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time and for patiently explaining all these very important concepts to us, and for the global perspective as well. Thank you for being mindful of the time as well. I think next time maybe we can do longer presentations from each of the distinguished panelists. There's so much knowledge to be shared by everyone today. It has been really illuminating. We have some time for our own members, some familiar faces. Mr. Amitav is a member of our foundation. He is a very senior officer belonging to the Indian Revenue Service, and he has recently authored a book on investigation of Bitcoin transaction. He's going to make a brief intervention. So can I please ask sir to please unmute and speak for a few minutes?
Yeah, thank you, Nidhi. Thank you very much. It was a real privilege for all of us in FCAP to listen to a very distinguished panel of experts today on a very relevant and contemporary subject of alternatives to single-use plastics. The talks and the presentations were very thought-provoking, and I'm sure all of us have benefited out of the webinar. One thing which I could gather from all the 3 talks in the presentation is very clearly is we have to phase out single-use plastic. We need to explore alternatives, and those alternatives have to be eco-friendly, cheap, durable as plastics, and should be available locally. And there is no dearth of ideas and entrepreneurship in the country. But what we feel is what is lacking is the will to accept these alternatives. And for that, we need to create, we need to change the mindset, create more awareness. And this is precisely CAP was doing prior to pandemic in March 2020 by organizing mass campaigns where we engaged young students from college and schools, and focused on making people aware of this. I'm very thankful to Satyendra ji for driving in the point that the change has to come from the consumers and the industry. But let us be aware of the fact that the consumers belong to different economic strata, and to fulfill the needs of each of these economic strata with the alternatives is going to be very challenging. We are all looking forward to the government's awareness campaign, which he informed us will be starting from 8th of June. We look forward to that. And another short point that I wanted to make was a new dimension has been added to our challenge of single-use plastics. In this COVID pandemic is by use of, all of us know about it, PPE kits, masks, and plastic gloves, which all have plastics as component, and they are used mostly once or twice, not
I think we have lost the connection with Mr. Amitabh. Just give him a few seconds to rejoin. All right. Till then, maybe we can have a few words from our next. We have a member of CAP, Ms. Colonel Sanjay Srivastava, who is an active climate and environmental risk management practitioner involved in operationalizing the technology to augment solutions with governments, UN, NGOs, academia, and community. Colonel Sanjay Srivastava, if you could please unmute yourself and speak a few words for us. Okay, we seem to be having some connectivity issues today. Could I please ask Mr. Ashwini Khurana, who is the president of Karma Lakelands, member of CAP, of course, and Karma Lakelands is an eco-responsible golf resort with luxury living options in Gurgaon. Can you thank you for your time, sir? Yes.
Thank you very much, Anoopji, for inviting me to speak a little bit in this elite group of speakers. Karma Lakelands is an eco-responsible gated community villas. We've been rated as the most eco-friendly golf course in India. And what got us here is a lot of environmental practices relating to plastic. I would tell you, we wouldn't use plastic takeaway crockery, cutlery, because a lot of times golfers, when they're on the go, they want to pick up a snack. But our policy is such, we would insist that we give them regular crockery, not takeaway stuff, and insist that golf is a game to relax and play rather than on the go. So, so takeaway stuff, plastic has been avoided. And this is one thing that Responsible Tourism Society of India saw in us and have started to promote amongst other similar places, resorts, golf courses and all. We've not been using straws and stirrers as a normal practice in our bars and restaurants. So if there is a customer who does want a straw, it's not the default that he gets it. They have to ask for it and then they get a paper straw. Interestingly, Mr. Dwivedi did mention that the environmental burden will now onwards and should be assessed for even non-plastic single-use alternates to it. And we keep that awareness very much in place. So we wouldn't replace a plastic or a thermocol takeaway plate or a glass and use paper instead. You have to use a regular glass. Water, we would not sell plastic takeaway Bisleris or any other brand waters, but house-treated water in glass bottles. So these are a few things I wanted to share today where we are aggressively avoiding, minimizing plastic. Then there's an initiative we have, which is called Eco Bricks. Regular refused plastic bottles we use to stuff the domestic plastic that households generate in our community. It's this bottle. So, you took a toffee wrapper, stuff it in the bottle, and keep stuffing all the plastic you generate at home at a domestic level. So what happens is you automatically are collecting dry plastic, which can go to the recyclers. It's compacted into bottles. And even if theoretically speaking, it went to your landfills, you've compacted the surface area that plastic pollution would have consumed in your landfill into a very tight bottle. You use a stick or something to really compact the plastic into these eco blocks. So these are a few things we as Responsible Tourism are using, and I wished to present to this group. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for showing us some of these examples. We now have some question and answers. So I'm reading from the chat box. We had a question for the panelists for Mr. Satyendra Kumar. The question says, you mentioned that plastic use for less than 50 micron. I think this question has got somewhat answered, but maybe we can look at it again. What is the significance of 50 micron cutoff for the ban? If maybe our panelists could answer that. So you'll have to unmute yourself.
So with the lesser thickness of the plastic carry bags, it is the waste pickers have a very little incentive in collecting. They will have to collect many to take it to deposit it and to give it to somebody, some aggregator, and get some money out of it. So one of the things is that thinner plastics have a very little value for the waste pickers. Second, these thinner plastics have a great littering potential. So they get littered because they are light in weight. So they get littered out easily. Whereas the heavier one, if it is like it's at some place, and then the waste picker are also incentivized to collect it. So because of littering potential as well as very low economic returns to the waste pickers. Yeah.
Thank you so much for answering the question, sir. We have another question From Bhakti for Ms. Divya Sinha. What is the future of EPR and how will the new SOP bring more accountability to the current mechanism? If we could have
There are two issues. What is the future of EPR? EPR is basically the extended producer responsibility for collection and channelization of the waste to the recyclers. So basically, first thing we have to understand is there are certain items which are presently banned, as we have talked about the 50 micron thickness bags, as well as the plastics which is used for gutka manufacturers. Plastic is restricted. You can't use plastic in the gutka, but there are certain areas where plastic cannot be, it will be continued to be used despite all the restrictions. So in those cases, extended producer responsibility becomes very important. In those cases which is not getting covered under the ban and it is continued to be used, in those cases, they're like such as PET bottles and all, they have to collect back the waste and they have to channelize it to the recyclers. So the SUP, the single-use plastics, some of the more problematic ones are getting banned. The ones which are essential will be continued, and for such plastics, EPR is important. What's the second question is regarding the importance of the SOP. Yeah, SOP basically we have. If you review the SOP, it addresses the responsibility in addition to the PIBO, the producers and the brand owners. That there are other stakeholders it brings the other stakeholders also in the loop, including the recyclers, the state boards, the local bodies. It assigns responsibilities to all these stakeholders, and also basically it very streamlines, essentially streamlines the entire procedures for the extended producer. Since it has been notified in 2018, for 2 years CPCB has been granting registrations to the brand owners. So we need, considering the number of stakeholders involved and considering the number of transactions which are involved, it is very essential to streamline the entire procedures and to bring that if you look at the entire, it's a big network with so many stakeholders. SOP has been brought in to streamline the entire procedure of implementation of EPR as per the provision of the plastic waste management rules. Yeah, these are the two.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think Mr. Amitav has asked one final question. Just before that, for Mr. Dwivedi, I think one of our members has requested that the reports that were mentioned by you, sir, if you could share those, and we could also have a look at the reports.
Yeah, I will definitely, I will share to you, and then you can forward to your members also. These reports, though they are available on UN sites also, but okay, I will just send to you and then you can forward to the member.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that response. So I think the final question we have for all the panelists is from Mr. Amitav is, are we prepared to phase out single-use plastic from 2022, or do we need more time? It's a question, maybe, sir, you can elaborate on that.
Mr. Satyendra.
Mr. Satyendra maybe can elaborate on whether this is a realistic goal or.
Yeah, thank you for unmuting. So your question is that will it be possible for us to phase out single-use plastic by 2022? So I'll again reiterate the perspective of the announcement to everyone, which I touched upon in my talk also, that with the notification that was published in March 2021, a list of items, single-use plastics items have been mentioned over there, and they will see a phase out in 2022 from 1st of January and from 1st of July. So we need to understand this narrative that when we talk about single-use plastics, we need to look for the alternatives, look for the affordability, which I touched upon. We look for the technology availability and its adoption, the capacity of the industry to produce alternatives. So the whole narrative, when we talk about addressing the problem due to single-use plastic, is primarily due to the littering of the single-use plastic. So the first and foremost focus should be and has been, not only in India, but across the globe, where these items are getting banned, is on those items which have very high littering potential and a very low utility. So you can have your products without straws. You can go ahead with kind of balloons without plastic sticks. And while saying and sharing this thing, I know that we should not go for those alternatives which are going to cause more harm than being caused by the plastics. So it is a graded approach that is being adopted. So in many of the single-use plastic items, which have a very high collectability, and there is no issue as of now, we look forward to having a sustainable and eco-friendly, cost-effective alternatives. We as a citizen, must look forward to. But the focus should be on such items which are going to create the problems, and there are very little wherewithal available with the existing systems, whether it be with the government or with the private sector, with the NGO or anybody, or the city systems. So that is the focus. So this question has got a kind of very differential answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the response. We are looking forward to the announcement as well. And I've shared some of the links where we can find out more about our foundation. I would finally like to ask Ms. Uma Shrivastava to give a vote of thanks to all the panelists.
Wow, it has been an amazing 1.5 hours of a wonderful session. And we have been really enlightened with the views of the respected panelists. And it's my privilege to have been asked to extend a vote of thanks on this occasion. So on behalf of CAP, I wish to express my sincere gratitude for each one of you panelists for sparing your valuable time and being here with us to apprise us with your insights and all the knowledge that you shared today. This topic is really very important for the entire humanity. We must be totally focused on leaving a disease-free natural world, the one that we inherited. We have to leave a better world for our future generations. And to pollute this natural world is to destroy life on this planet, which is the only one in this cosmos. So not only these webinars, nothing will help, but sincere efforts from all spheres of activity. We as citizens, we as policy makers, everybody has to contribute in eliminating this menace. So I'll go ahead with thanking you, everyone. Thank you very much, Mr. Satyendra Kumarji, for your thought-provoking ideas and well-researched suggestions and whatever options you have given to us. And yes, vocal for local should be the new mantra these days. And we have to identify all those low utility items with a higher potential of littering. So these are things which have to be really investigated and looked into. And thank you so much, Mr. Satyendra Kumarji, for your illuminating thoughts. We are deeply thankful to Ms. Divya Sinhaji for your well-articulated presentations. And it was very well designed and has given us a very comprehensive view. I would like to express our sincere thanks to Mr. R.K. Dwivedi for your enriching ideas Your global perspective has been very illuminating, and the initiatives of WWF, UNEP, the testing protocols of ISO, these all have been very, very knowledgeable for all of us today. And yes, again, the geographical and local conditions have to be taken into considerations. The local entrepreneurs have to be given encouragement, and that should be a high priority, especially for Indian conditions. As you said, the geographical conditions have to be taken. So we in India, we have the luxury so we have the luxury of adopting all these measures. And a special thanks and gratitude to Mr. Amitav and Mr. Ashwini Khurana ji for their invaluable contribution today and apprising us with their views. Mr. Anup Kumar Srivastava, founder director of CAP, deserves applause and gratitude for providing us this platform for a meaningful exchange of ideas and thoughts. It has indeed been a very, very fruitful session. I would like to express our sincere thanks and gratitude to Ms. Nidhi Srivastava, who has moderated the webinar flawlessly. And last but not the least, special mention and thanks goes to each member of the audience. You all have been very patient here, and each one of us present here today has had an opportunity to take back some meaningful ideas and noteworthy ideas, and we should make an effort to apply them wherever possible. I hope the insights gained here will help in providing suggestions to our policy makers. Bye for now. Stay safe, stay healthy. Namaskar. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We seem to be having some connectivity issues. If you can please repeat the vote of thanks from the last panelist forward. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me now? Special thanks and gratitude to Mr. Amitav and Mr. Ashwini Khurana ji for their invaluable contribution and for their apprising us with their views. Mr. Anup Kumar Srivastava, founder director of CAP, deserves applause and gratitude for providing us this platform for a meaningful exchange of ideas and thoughts. It has indeed been a very, very fruitful session. I would like to express a sincere thanks to Ms. Nidhi Srivastava also, who moderated the webinar flawlessly. Last but not the least, special mention and thanks goes to each member of the audience who were very patient with us. And each one of us has had an opportunity to take back something from this webinar. And we have to take back these ideas and we have to apply them wherever possible. I hope all these suggestions will be forwarded to our policy makers, and we hope to make a turnaround soon. Bye for now. Stay safe, stay healthy. Namaskar.